I have been married to my husband, James, for 20 years. We are not particularly wealthy family, but we have a nice house to live in and have led a normal but peaceful and happy life. We were fortunate enough to have 2 children. Our son, Tyler, is currently studying at a nearby college. I told him he doesn't need to worry about the tuition, but he insisted on receiving a scholarship because he was studying for his own good. Our daughter, Jen, is in high school, and when I come home late from work, she voluntarily helps around the house, and I am very grateful to her. One day, I received some wonderful news from my husband. He says he has been promoted. He had been working so hard all these days, and it seems he is being transferred to a different department in addition to his promotion. How amazing! I am so happy for you. I've been watching him devoting himself to this job, so I am thrilled at the news. I am also excited that this may also mean a raise. To celebrate, the kids and I decide to prepare a special dinner. The next day, Jen and I cook everything that James loves, and Tyler brings home a cake that he bought with his own money earned from his part-time job. James is delighted, and he eats everything, saying it is all delicious. Once we have eaten all the food and are going through cake, James says something unbelievable. You know, I'm actually going out with a girl at work. What? I ask, unable to understand what he just said. The children don't seem to understand either. James continues. She says she's pregnant. This is my house, so you all have to leave. I start to panic. Wait a moment. Do you even understand what you're saying? She's 10 years younger than me, and she's really pretty. I am not interested in old women like you anymore. The children are staring at James, disgusted. Seeing them, he says, "And you're adults now. You can manage by yourselves, right?" Tyler is angry and shouts, "You must be kidding me. You can say that to me, but Jen is still in high school." He looks as though he could punch James at any second. A girl doesn't need education. There'll always be ways to earn money if she can sell herself. I feel as if everything is frozen for a moment. However, anger rises up from inside of me, and I hear myself yelling at my husband. "What are you saying? How can you say that to your own daughter? I can't believe it." While I am shouting at him, I see Jen crying, and she runs to her own room. "You are no father to me. I am leaving this house as you wish, but I'm never forgiving you for hurting Mom and Jen." Tyler then storms out, following Jen. James and I are left in the living room. A silence continues. After a while, James says, "Okay, so that's that. I'll be generous, and I'm letting you stay one more week before you get out of this house." "Alright, but I'm taking custody of the children. I am having a new kid, so I have no use for them. You do as you wish." "Okay then. Don't come complaining to me whatever happens though." James answers without even looking at me. "Are you out of your mind? I got a promotion. I get to live a wealthy life. I have a young and pretty new wife, and I'm going to live happily ever after." This was supposed to be a night for the family to celebrate James' promotion, but it became the night that everything we had built up until now completely collapsed. The following day, I asked a friend who has been through a divorce to introduce me to a lawyer. With my friend's advice, I reached out to a private detective and asked them to investigate my husband. This also allows me to find out more about his lover. Apparently, she is a temporary worker at James's office. She does seem pretty, but I thought she had sort of calculated prettiness about her. I guess this is the kind of girl men tend to fall for. These are my thoughts as I listened to the report from the detective. Since then, I have rented a new apartment and moved in with my children. As I work full-time and because I have some savings, it is all working out somehow. Jan seemed to have calmed down now that we are away from James, and we are in a much better place than before. Once we have enough evidence, I talk to my lawyer and decide to have a discussion with my husband to talk about our divorce, with my lawyer attending as well. On the day of the discussion, I suggest to go to the house that we previously lived in and take my lawyer along. James snorts and says, "There's no need for a lawyer. You are always so dramatic, you know," and laughs. But I try to stay calm and to not react. However, inside my mind, I'm thrusting the table at my husband and beating him up with a chair. It seems his lover is already living in his house, and all the furniture and curtains that I chose have been replaced. Pink curtains with cute little flowers on them. She must have chosen them. Imagining her making these decisions, it makes me want to throw up. The lover, whose name I have learned is Heather, is there too, and she says, "This has nothing to do with me." And she seems angry. In my head I think, it has everything to do with you. Do you want to get beaten up with this chair too? And I feel like I am about to explode. My lawyer tells James and Heather that we will be requesting a compensation. And when Heather hears this, she goes crazy. "Why on earth do I have to pay? I thought girls don't need to pay." So you're the one that's angry? I am the one who wants to be angry. It's shocking to think that someone with a mind like this actually exists in this world. My lawyer seems used to this kind of situation, and he continues calmly. "Excuse me, but yes, you do have to pay a compensation to my client. You are the reason why this couple are getting a divorce. You do understand your own position, don't you?" No, the reason is because this old woman wasn't attractive enough. I am so glad that my lawyer is here. If he wasn't, I would probably have beaten up this girl so hard. You're a very lucky little girl. While these thoughts are going through my mind, Heather picks up a cup which had coffee in it and throws it at me. "Do something! You do know that I am carrying your little baby, don't you?" Heather snuggles up to James as she says this. "Excuse me, I can hit her now, right? Oh, please, can I hit her?" I say to my lawyer. I've had enough. But my lawyer is cool and lends me a handkerchief. You want me to still stay calm? James has this horrible smile on his face with Heather snuggling up to him. I want to bury both of them. I take out the divorce papers that I had prepared. James signs them and says, "Good. We have nothing to do with each other anymore. I am paying you the compensation, so never come near us again." I sign the papers too, hand them to my lawyer, and ask him to submit them straight away. Once he is gone, James says, "You too, hurry up and go," and tries to get me to leave. However, I have been waiting all this time to ask her this one simple question. "That baby? Is it really my husband's child?" You can tell that the atmosphere in the room has changed. Heather's eyebrows twitch ever so slightly, and it seems as if the gravity in this room has gotten heavier. What are you talking about? Of course it's my child, right?" "Of course. How can you say something like that?" I calmly place some documents onto the table. "My husband wasn't the only one you were dating. I know you are spending a lot of money on a young aspiring musician." "What are you talking about? You must be crazy." I feel much better now. I take a deep breath and say slowly and calmly, "I had a detective look into you too. It seemed odd why a young and pretty girl like you would want to come anywhere near an old man like James to begin with." The documents that I had placed on the table report what was going on around Heather. There are photos of her with the musician going into a hotel with him, or being very intimate with him in the car. James looks at the report, turning red. "What is this?" he asks Heather. But she can only say, "No, it's not what it looks like," and can't seem to come up with a satisfactory explanation. James is furious with Heather, and he is screaming at her, "Were you lying to me, you whore?" "What? You should be happy that a pretty girl like me ever wanted to go out with you. And this is your child. You said you'd take responsibility." I can't believe anything you say. Seeing these two bickering in front of me, I am lost for words. It seems almost funny now to think that I was angry and upset by these terrible human beings. Well, it's none of my business who the father is. We are divorced now. James panics and says, "Wait, I don't mean any of it." "What did you mean then?" I reply, and he says, "It's just, I take back the divorce, okay? You just need to shut up." James has tears in his eyes, but I have nothing else to say to him. "Goodbye." "Wait!" He is still begging me, and Heather is still screaming, but I leave the house. Later, I hear that Heather gave birth to a boy. That child, however, has dark skin, even though Heather and James are both white. She insisted right until the moment of birth that this was James's child. I hear they both went crazy when they saw the baby. It seems Heather was not only going out with James and the musician, also white, but many other men as well, including an African American man. We can only assume that this man was the child's father. Soon after this, James kicks Heather out of his house, and I hear that she returned to her parents' house. The compensation from Heather is paid to me by her parents, and I receive a word of apology through my lawyer. James has no place at the office anymore, and it seems he could not stand all the whispering about him any longer and quit. It's such a shame. He had just received a promotion. Well, he only has himself to blame, and I am just so concerned for the baby's future. I don't pity Heather at all, but I am just worried about the baby. James can't seem to find a new job, and he's paying me the compensation while working several part-time jobs day and night. I am living a happy life with my children. My son, Tyler, still says he wants to beat his father up. But each time he says this, I tell him that James is not worth it, and that would not be good for Tyler himself. He listens to me. My daughter, Jen, has recovered from the shock, and she is enjoying high school very much. I don't mind if my two children make some mistakes in life, but I hope they will grow up to be sincere and honest people.
Somehow, I wanted to believe my husband, but I knew he was cheating. I was sad and frustrated, but more than that, I was appalled at my husband's lack of taste. How could he fall for a woman like that? When my husband came home from work, I showed him the photo evidence. My husband was a little surprised, and his face turned pale, but he answered me back surprisingly.
You went through all that trouble to find out. If you thought it was suspicious, why didn't you just ask me directly?
If I had asked you, would you have confessed?
Yeah, I would have, because I was thinking it was time to end it with you.
Huh? My name is Karen. I'm a 27 years old office worker. I have always been into games, and I met my husband Tom at the game event. To be honest, he gave me a dark impression when we first met. His hair was a mess, and his eyebrows were busy. He had unfashionable glasses that made him look like a student, and didn't care what he wore. However, when I actually talked to him, I found him to be an interesting person who was kind and chose his words with a good sense. At first, I had the impression that I had made an interesting friend. Then we started hanging out with another friend of mine, and the three of us started going out together, and I closer to my husband. Then, about 6 months after I met my husband, he suddenly asked me out as a girlfriend. I was feeling comfortable with him, so we started dating. Then, a little after we started dating, my husband told me that he wanted to become a man who would look good with me. He asked me to help him to change his looks. Apparently, he was worried about how people saw us as we walked together on the street. I wasn't particularly concerned about how people saw us, since I chose to be with him. My husband thought that people were wondering why such a dorky man was with me, which made him feel depressed. I thought, why not? I could help him to change his look so he can feel better, and I launched a plan to give my husband a makeover. First, a haircut. I sent my husband, who always goes to the neighborhood barber, to a popular hair salon to get his hair done. Then, I learned how to do men's eyebrows from YouTube and gave my husband a lecture. These two details made a surprisingly big difference in my husband's appearance. He had clear eyes and a slim nose to begin with, so by properly adjusting his hair and eyebrows, he was transformed to a handsome man. Next, the clothes. I chose his clothes according to my taste, and I dressed him in a pair of simple, well-tailored outfits, since my husband is tall and slim, so he looked like a model from a fashion magazine. It was quite a transformation that I wondered if this was really the same person. I thought that he looked so different now that if he posted his selfies on social media, he could easily become an influencer. Since then, every time we walked together on the street, I noticed that people looked at us in a different way. My husband also said that the change in his appearance made him very confident. And after a year of dating, My husband proposed to me saying that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, with a person that has changed him positively. We got married shortly after and entered our second year of living together. At the regular game events that we attended, the people celebrated our marriage. We were a famous couple at such events, and some of those people who've known us for a long time said that we were originally a Beauty and the Beast couple, but the Beast curse had been lifted, and that we were just a beautiful couple. As such, we were spending quality time together, enjoying our hobbies and work. But then, Rachel appears before us. Rachel met my husband and I for the first time at one of those gaming events. She looked very gorgeous, like a girl who would hang out in a club. Well, nowadays, even very beautiful actresses are into gaming, and they publicly announce that, so it would not be surprising to find someone like that among the gamers. However, this Rachel girl seems to have little interest in games. She seems to be participating at the events with a different purpose. Rachel always talks to various people in a very friendly manner. She often casually touches men, and upon closer inspection, I found that she asked where they lived, their occupation, and estimated their income levels. She then approached only those she thought to have high income. In the midst of all this, Rachel finally started to flirt with my husband Tom. "You are so incredibly handsome, Tom. Are you a model or an actor?"
No, I'm just a regular company employee.
"Wow, if there was such a good-looking guy at work, I would fall in love right away. I'm sure you look cool in a suit too."
No way.
My husband was trying to act like he was calm in front of me, but he was obviously happy to receive those flirty comments from her. Then someone at the event said to her,
Oh no, Rachel. Tom has a great wife named Karen.
Rachel heard this and said, "Are you married, Tom? Too bad. I wish we had met earlier." Oh dear. She had some level of consideration, thank goodness. I thought for a moment. Rachel still didn't seem to stop flirting with Tom. "How is your wife like? Does she allow you to participate in an event like this with other women?"
My wife is here too, you know.
I moved next to my husband and greeted Rachel. "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Karen, Tom's wife." Rachel kept a smile on her face and said, "Nice to meet you too. I see that both of you are into games. It's nice to have a common hobby," pretending to be comfortable with the idea. But I could sense a kind of hostility emanating from her. Then she started talking to me like she wanted to get to know me better. It was a little too much for me. What on earth was she thinking? I was so intent on carefully observing Rachel, and I was exhausted after a long day of the event. After that, Rachel began to send me many messages. She asked me if I wanted to go for a coffee together, or if I wanted to have dinner with her. I had no idea what her intentions were in approaching me, but she frequently asked me to go out together. She was so persistent that I decided to go for a coffee with her once. At first, Rachel asked about my work, how I was in school, and so on. Gradually, she began to ask about my husband. "The apartment where you two live is pretty expensive, isn't it? He's a good-looking guy with a high income, isn't he perfect?" She is obviously coming after my husband. "Please throw a home party next time. I will definitely be there. Who would do such a dangerous thing? I don't like drinking at home, so I don't think I will do it." Rachel tried to arrange a meeting with my husband after that, but I made sure to keep her out from us. For a while after that, Rachel contacted me frequently, but one day she stopped contacting me. Then, as if to replace it, I noticed suspicious activity from my husband. He began to take frequent business trips. We had been married for 2 years, and my husband had never been on a business trip. I decided to investigate to find out what was going on. I asked a detective agency to look into it, and soon I was able to obtain evidence of his affair with Rachel. Somehow, I wanted to believe my husband, but I knew he was cheating. I was sad and frustrated, but more than that, I was appalled at my husband's lack of taste. How could he have fallen for a woman like that? When my husband came home from work, I showed him the photo evidence. My husband was a little surprised, and his face turned pale, but he answered me back surprisingly.
You went through all that trouble to find out. If you thought it was suspicious, why didn't you just ask me directly?
If I have asked you, would you have confessed?
Yeah, I would have, because I was thinking it was time to end it with you. It means Rachel is a better woman than you.
I'm speechless. She completely tricked you. How did Rachel get close to you in the first place? She was pushing me so hard to make an opportunity to meet you.
We just happened to run into each other at the station, and so we went to a cafe and exchanged our phone numbers. Well, Rachel said she was waiting for me. At first, she said she wanted to get to know you better. So we started talking about you and other stuff. Then we got drunk and she asked me to sleep with her. And that's how we ended up.
You've fallen for the typical strategy, haven't you? Oh, okay, that's enough. I interrupted him, took out the divorce papers, and asked him to sign them. I don't want any alimony from you.
Seriously? Lucky me. Okay, let's get a divorce then.
In exchange, give me all the property division.
Huh? Okay, I don't mind.
And I will make sure Rachel pays me alimony. It's cheaper if you split with her.
Okay, I will do it.
My husband grinned and signed the divorce papers. He probably thought that I didn't have any money saved up. In fact, I had been saving up to buy a home of my own and had been investing in stocks and other investments. I guess he didn't expect that I would be able to save that much in just 2 years. In fact, I happened to get lucky and made a huge profit from stocks just recently. That brought my savings to $100,000 all at once. I didn't tell my husband because I wanted to surprise him when we talked about buying a house. I'm so glad I did not tell him. After that, the divorce was successfully finalized, and I got all the property division as well as the alimony from Rachel, and the plan was a great success. By the way, Rachel had settled in that luxury apartment after I left. Moreover, she thought that the apartment was rented with my ex-husband's salary, so she quit her job and went there. We were able to live in that apartment because we were both working. Moreover, my salary is higher than my ex-husband's. In the end, my ex-husband couldn't pay the rent with his salary alone, so they moved out right away. Rachel sent me an angry message saying that his salary was just an average level, but I replied that it was her misunderstanding and blocked her. In the end, Rachel disappeared from my ex-husband's life. My husband was not very experienced with women, so he was easily dumped by her. He was shocked that Rachel dumped him so easily and got very depressed, so he continued to take time off from work and eventually resigned. He now stays at his parents' house and no longer cares about his appearance and plays game all day long. It seems that he looks worse than when I met him and takes no responsibility within the society. It's none of my business anymore though. Meanwhile, I moved to a more economical apartment and continue to save money. At this rate, I'm going to keep on saving, so I will buy my ideal home in the near future. I'm going to find a new love life as soon as possible while putting the best effort into my work. At the same time, I will enjoy my life day by day. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video. I've given it a lot of thought. You don't want a wife who is cheating on you, so let's sell this house and live in a new house together.
What are you talking about?
I've already talked to the real estate agent, so there's nothing to worry about. Mother, I don't need you to call me mother. I will sell this house and you get out. Okay, I understand. Then I will leave. My name is Nina, a housewife in my late 20s. I have married my husband Ken for 2 years and we get along pretty well. But my relationship with my mother-in-law is not good. My mother-in-law divorced her husband when my husband was a child and raised him as a single mother. Maybe it's because she gave him the special care as a single mother. She loves him very much. I don't know if that's the reason, but ever since we got married, my mother-in-law has not been nice to me. Then, when my husband decided to go on a business trip overseas, for some reason my mother-in-law came to live with us. Since then, she suspects me every time I come home from work. Are you working this late? Yes, I usually come home around this time. I'm home by 7 or 8 every night, so I don't know if that's really late. Are you that busy? I always come home around this time. I'm not that busy. I don't know. My mother-in-law is giving me a disapproving look. Is there a problem? You're having an affair. I don't see how I could be having an affair. How could I do that when I'm just working day in and day out? I wonder. My son is overseas right now. It's a chance for you to do whatever you want. I thought you may be playing with all kinds of people. No, I was at a loss for words. Then my mother-in-law looked at me with even more suspicion. You see, you can't say anything now. I knew it. I feel such a pity for my son. I can't answer immediately when I'm accused of something that is not even true. I've told you from the beginning that I never cheated on my husband, but you don't believe me. Of course I'm upset. Why do you think I'm having an affair? I would like to know the reason. It's simple. Because you come home late every day. What else? That's it. That's it? Yes. Are you kidding me? Is that the only reason you're accusing me of cheating on my husband? And even though it's late, he's home before 8. Mother, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. You're trying to run away. I locked myself in my room, put in my earplugs, and went to sleep. And the next day, my mother-in-law is still in our house. How long is she going to stay here? Well, she doesn't bother me except to suspect me of cheating. I work during the day, and she's been cleaning my room. It's not like I want to kick her out. I wasn't sure what my mother-in-law wanted to do at our house when my husband is not even here. After all, my mother-in-law stayed in the house until I had to go on a business trip. I felt like I was being monitored while she was with me, but now I'm finally free from her. I was glad to be away from my mother-in-law even though it was a business trip. I thought that this would be the end of my mother-in-law's stay at our house. However, she had an even crazier idea. I will take care of the house. What? I'm thinking of moving in here. Have you told Ken about this? There's no need to tell him. He'll be happy to live with me again. No, that's not possible. My husband hasn't returned to his mother's house since he started working. He was actually happy to finally get away from his over-involved mother. Let's discuss such a matter properly. That won't be necessary. I'm staying here anyway. I couldn't force my mother-in-law out of the house, so I went on a business trip for a week. When I told my husband, he was very opposed to my mother moving in with us as I had expected. We decided to discuss it when he returned home. A week later, my business trip was over, but I couldn't bring myself to go home. So I stayed at the hotel for 3 days until my husband returned home. After 3 days, I met my husband and headed home, but my mother-in-law kept on insisting. Welcome home! Ken, I cooked your favorite food for you today.
Why are you here?
I've been thinking about it a lot. You don't want an unfaithful wife, so let's sell this house and live in a new house together.
What are you talking about?
I've already talked to a realtor, so there's nothing to worry about. Mother, I don't need you to call me mother. I will sell this house and you get out. I see. I understand. Would you be happy if I say I will leave then? I'm the owner of this house. I inherited this house from my father. You cannot sell it without my permission.
That's right, Mom. What are you thinking?
That's not true. I had a real estate agent come here to appraise it.
That's because they think the house is in your name.
I made sure about the title. My mother-in-law is so clueless. How ignorant can she be? How can my mother-in-law sell the land and the house in my name without my permission? But my mother-in-law is adamant. Of course not. He has a right to sell the house too. You're being deceived by this woman. See? I've gathered the evidence for you. You should leave her, sell this house, and live in a new place with me. My mother-in-law showed her phone screen to my husband with a confident look on her face. This is a proof. My husband sighed deeply when he saw the screen. Then I peeked at the screen from behind my husband's back. There I saw dozens of hidden photos of me. One of them shows me in a meeting with my boss at a cafe, paying at the checkout counter at the supermarket, greeting a neighbor on my way home, etc. There are photos of me in various situations. How can you call this cheating?
Well, Mom, is this a hidden camera?
That's right. I searched for evidence like a detective. Look at her happy face. She was having affairs with all kinds of men. My husband and I were mortified by this. The picture of my mother-in-law took were just pictures of me in contact with random men. There is nothing that proves that I was having an affair. I just had a normal meeting with my boss, went shopping at the supermarket on my way home, and said hello to my neighbor. I don't even remember the cashier at the supermarket was a man.
Mom, get out and leave your keys.
Why?
This is not proof of an affair. They are just pictures of everyday life.
No, they are not. That's how cheating starts.
Just because you cheated doesn't mean everyone else does.
Why? Who told you that? This came as a surprise. Mother, you were a cheater. That's why you were so suspicious of me. I finally came to understand.
No one told me. Dad never said anything bad about you either. If anything, it was your diary. You don't leave something like that out in the open where a child can reach out for it. You cheated with the owner of the cafe you used to go often with your boss. Dad forgave you when you cheated with your boss. But you didn't learn your lesson, and you cheated on the cafe owner again, which made Dad really angry. Dad said that he'd take me in, but you didn't want to give me up because you wanted child support and benefits. I know all about it. My mother-in-law's mouth was hanging open. She was just sitting there with her mouth open. I'm so fed up with this whole thing. I owe you for raising me, so I've tolerated you until now. But trying to sell this house without permission and suspecting Nina of having an affair, I really can't take it anymore. My only parent is my dad from now on. You are a total stranger from this day on. That's right. Strangers need to get out of this house. My husband mercilessly threw out my mother-in-law. Wait a minute, Ken. If you abandon me, what should I do at this old age? I don't know. He closed the door and locked it, looking somewhat refreshed. I'm so sorry. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just bang, bang. The door is being slammed with a force that could break it down. Hey, why don't we just sneak out the kitchen door and go out to eat? You sure? I haven't had a steak in a while. Okay, let's go.
We quietly slipped out of the house.
I'm really sorry about what happened.
No, well, it was a little heavy, but it's okay. I didn't think she would try to sell the house. Then we found out something we didn't expect. My mother-in-law had been evicted from her rental apartment. The reason was that she was 6 months behind on her rent. My mother-in-law, who had lost her place to live, had to find some reason to move in with us. And in the end, she wanted to evict me, sell the house, and build a new house with the money from the sale of the house. And she had been pestering us at our house ever since. But she couldn't get in because we took away the key from her. My husband and I talked it over, sold the house, and got a new temporary place to live. Eventually, we planned to live in our own house again. 3 weeks later, my husband and I have settled into our new lives. And as I find my mother-in-law in my sight, she doesn't even notice me. I heard there was an old homeless woman in the neighborhood, so I went to the park on my way home from the supermarket. As I expected, the homeless was my mother-in-law. She looked dirty and her hair all tangled. She had lost some weight, but there was no doubt in my mind that she was my mother-in-law. I don't feel sorry to see her like that, but I'm going to keep this a secret to my husband. I don't think anyone would like to see their parents become homeless. Well, this is kind of expected, isn't it? She has been living selfishly and bothering everyone around for so long. I'd like to learn a lesson from what happened to my mother-in-law. What kind of nerve does she have to sell someone's property without permission? She's the kind of person who would cheat on her husband several times. I guess it was not a big deal for her. What she has become is precisely because her own actions. I'm sorry to say that no one will be able to help her. She deserved it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.